So basically, as soon as we moved into this house, we realized that this hillside needed a footpath and it needed a small retaining wall. It was a waste of space. So, what I did began a process of removing at least the preliminary footing for the retaining wall. And here I just had to remove some of that fill dirt. So, this was really just the base layer to start carving down a little bit. In a later stages, I took all of this removed material and used it as backfill to level off the retaining wall, which you'll see shortly. So on the left-hand side here are some rocks that I had delivered. I bought some off of a wall builder, and then I also found some folks on Craigslist that were giving away some fill dirt that I have just been going and getting some rocks from, larger size rocks to use for this retaining wall. So one of the keys when I was building this wall was to get a solid flat base, but also because I'm not mortaring these rocks in, I pretty carefully chose rocks that were leaning into the hillside. So they aren't intended really to hold a lot back. It's mostly just to hold back some erosion. The roots from the plants up on the hill are gonna hold a lot of the soil back. Also, I didn't excavate very much. It's really just a very minor bit of retaining wall, mostly just spillage at this point. But the rocks were designed as they were laid in. Like you can see, this one here has a curve. I laid it in so that whatever pressure they do get is still going to push against an opposing force going into the wall. So there were several very large, very heavy rocks that were put up fairly high, sort of on the other side of the driveway, that took quite a bit of effort. So there will be more rocks delivered throughout this video. The guys actually building the wall dropped some bigger decorative rocks off that were too big for them to handle. And some of those they delivered to the top of the driveway. So had to be pretty careful getting them over the driveway not to damage it, thus the cardboard. So one of the other techniques that I employed when I was doing this too was I tried to oppose, or I would lay in several narrow rocks at a time, and then I would put in a much bigger rock and I would put those rocks in sideways against the wall or against the hillside to really stabilize. So they were not really, it wouldn't be the nicest face, but it would be the fatter face going into the wall. So I tried to give a little bit of different layout to the rocks. Beyond that, though, one of my focuses, the other focus beyond stability was to really look at the aesthetics and to try to carefully pick each rock that I was laying out. At this point, I had about a third of the wall in, and I started laying in sort of the decorative border on the street side. And I was doing this mostly, I think, just to get the walkway as cleanly set up as possible. And it was also just a nice break from the heavier rocks. Alright, so this next rock was the most painful of all. It was the biggest, heaviest rock. It was what they call blue rock, which is pretty dense lava rock. It's not bubbly and soft. Some of the lava rock is big, but it's really light. This one was not like that. So this one was a doozy, and it was dropped off by the guys delivering stones at the top of the driveway. So this was probably 45 minutes to get this from the top all the way down to the bottom in increments. I would just have to take some breaks. So as I was putting the wall in, I was making sure to take a step back often to make sure to take a look at the wall to make sure that it looked good, that it was lined up correctly, and to make any adjustments that were needed. And I did have to make quite a few adjustments, but I think it was worth the effort. So here's a top-down view of mostly done, a quick aerial shot, another very quick aerial shot, and then a final before and after. So this is just one of many of these projects that are going on, but I think it turned out really well. It was a lot of fun. It was hard work, but good stuff. So I will fill in the rest of this with mulch and then plant it out to a ground cover and probably a small shrub. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching.